Live. I'll be live any minute now on YouTube, and I'm setting up the Instagram. I'm going to add a title. Building wealth. Live. I'll be live any minute now on YouTube. Okay, we're live on YouTube. Hello, YouTubers. Building wealth with feminine flow. We're about to go live on Instagram with Arlene Broussard, my wealth coach, and here we go. And going live now. And so Arlene, yeah, as soon as you see it on my Instagram page, you can just request to join video. Hello and welcome to Goddess Vibrations, the Spiritual Sexual Empowerment Show. Today I'm meeting with my wealth coach, Arlene Broussard. We're going to be talking about building wealth with feminine flow, a new way of creating and flowing with money. Wealth with feminine flow. Okay. Okay, Arlene, I see you're here.
Okay.
And just need you to request to join video. And did you see that? Did it give you a, okay, it's just sometimes it's a little bit slow.
Okay, it just sent it.
There we go. Here we are. Okay.
We're live. I love it.
Just turning the volume down again on your phone.
Yep.
All right. We are good. Just adjusting the camera a bit. We've arrived.
Fantastic.
Welcome, Sister Goddess. So here we are. I want to formally introduce everyone to Arlene Broussard, my wealth coach that I've been using. Oh gosh, I don't know how long it's been now, but we met through a women's empowerment program and became friends. And I have utilized her service to help me rebuild my financial health and to kind of start over. Basically, I went through a pretty nasty divorce. If you saw the promo for this show, you got kind of a very brief story of it. But I was saying to Arlene earlier today that I did not trust anybody to work with my money. And I'm a business person. And so you can imagine how hard it's been even to hire an accountant or a bookkeeper, or especially a wealth coach, where they're going to get their hands in my numbers, because I had so much money stolen from me in my divorce and stolen from our joint accounts. And that was a financial trauma, a financial wound. And not only to mention that I was in a full-time PhD program and only working part-time when this happened. So I was at my most financially vulnerable. It was really, really hard for me to get over that. And so I trusted Arlene, and I still trust Arlene. And that is huge for me, to find somebody that I can trust to work with me. And also I want to mention too, Arlene, that when I'm looking at my numbers and I'm looking at the numbers in the negative instead of the positive where it used to be years ago, because I've worked really hard my whole life to be good with finances and to be in a good financial standing, it's traumatic. It's like PTSD. And Arlene coaches me through that and helps me through that, so that, you know, sometimes we're just breathing. It was okay, settle down, it's going to be okay, as we're plugging numbers into the spreadsheet that she created. So I don't have to worry about all that techie stuff. So she created a spreadsheet for me, and we sit down and do it together. And this has been revolutionary for me, revolutionary. And
I love that.
after a few months, I am seeing my net worth creep up. And I have to say too, that Arlene, I pulled this card from a Daniel Laporte Truth Bomb deck, which Daniel Laporte is one of our fellow sister goddesses. And I wanted to pull a card for everybody that might be tuning into this tonight live or later. And the card that I pulled is absolutely everything is progress. It's going to be backwards on the screens, but I thought how appropriate for our show, because this is so something you would say to me.
It is. Yes. Everything is progress.
Everything is progress. And yeah, so I just, I want everybody to know how you work. And I think that's part of the feminine energy that you bring to your coaching too. It's not like, do this, this very masculine boot camp, like get your finances, get on a strict budget, don't eat organic, whatever else. You never said anything like that to me. You've encouraged me to be in my flow, to be in my pleasure, to be in my joy, to open my heart. We even say affirmations before working together. You've helped me launch my programs when I wanted to like hang back and be like, oh, maybe now's not the right time. And you've said, no, go for it. It's time. Go for it. After setting that goal.
One of the big things that I think get people stuck is feeling like they have to be perfect. I have to know how to do everything exactly right. I have to, there's a certain way that you're supposed to do everything. And that's not true. It's like we've spent so much time building this industrialized society in a very linear masculine way, which has served us very well. We have roads, we have railroads, we have all these structures. And now it's time for us to let the feminine come in and dance with the masculine and have more fun and lightness with wealth creation. That's my focus, but with life, right? Let's bring some of the balance back and some of the joy back and some of the flow back. Because when we're in our pleasure, as we've learned through the work that we did together, that we are so much more tapped into the possibilities that are available to us when we're in our pleasure, when we're in our joy, when we're dancing, when we're swirling our hips, when we're laughing, when we're doing, when we're out of the head, when we're not here, but we're down here and below, when we're in our body, not in our head. So it just opens so much up.
It does. And it was such a relief for me to work that way with you, because as you know, I did a productivity coaching course last year, which was very helpful. There's lots of good strategies and tips and all of that in there to get my financial stuff in order, which I've been working on very diligently all year for a whole year. And I'm pretty much there, as far as getting everything organized now. It was a really chaotic 5-year divorce process. But that program, even though there's a lot of good skills and tips, and there's a lot of stuff from Arlene Broussard in there, it was still so masculine that doing all those things, my head literally hurt at night because through my divorce process, as I saw my money just leaking away, like there was no way to stop it. It's like having a hole in the boat. And I tried, I meditated, I prayed, I did everything that I possibly could do in my power. And I still couldn't stop that money from leaking away to divorce attorneys, to to all these professionals, to all of this stuff. And I'm like, where is this money even coming from? It's coming from my credit. I don't even have this money. It's just like credit and then going out. And again, very traumatic, but my feminine flow during that time is what got me through that time. I danced every day. I had to keep, like you said, that vibration up and that joy up. And I say now, dancing is the best revenge, because nobody was going to steal my joy. Nobody was going to steal my pleasure. They can have my money. They already got my money. They got all this other stuff. They got, but they were not going to steal my joy. And so to have to then revisit that place and still be able to dance through with you, to be reminded of the feminine flow, and to realize that, that strategy might work really well for somebody, but maybe not for you. And so let's do it this way. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, it's it's so counter to the way that we learn about money. I mean, money is, it's ones and zeros, and it's numbers. But that's the linear perspective of it. But it's really energy. It really is the energy that we're putting out there. It's been referred to as love, as units of love, right? It's units of, because energy is love. Right. If you want to get into the science of the energy of life, everything that we are and everything that we do is made up of energy. And so money is just a reflection of what we're doing in life. So being in our joy and being in our flow helps money flow. It helps it flow to us. It helps us allow ourselves to receive it. And it also allows us to be able to share it, right? To have our unique capabilities. I mean, you're doing amazing work with women, like I am as well, right? It's like allowing us to be available to feel confident and feel juicy in our work and our sharing. Like that's so powerful. It's so much more powerful than being stuck in our head and thinking I have to do this perfect linear spreadsheet, to make sure that the numbers tie out perfectly. Like energy and love isn't shared that way, and it's not created that way. It's too rigid. It's too contracted. You don't see what's in front of you, what the possibilities are when you're just in the left side of the brain, the masculine part of the brain. You need it, right? So I'm not saying throw it out.
Yeah, we still use spreadsheets.
Oh yeah, we still I am, and I share this very, a lot when I'm doing my financial meditations. I am not just about, breathing through the heart and dancing and enjoying life. We do spreadsheets. I do numbers. I always do numbers. So I've always balanced both the left and the right brain. I think that's what my success is that I can do, both the numbers, and I also can be light and fun and not get so caught up in the numbers that they drive me crazy, or they stop me from enjoying life, or they stop me from being able to see the big picture.
Well, it just, it reminds me of, it's almost like a social justice approach to money, because you're evening out the divine feminine. You're saying that it's equal, but hey, it's been lopsided for a long time. So let's bring in the feminine. Let's bring in the right brain. And I know you shared a story about your birth certificate and how you were had on your birth certificate Negro when you were born, because of that's the way that they classified and were able to oppress you back then.
I mean, I still do. My birth certificate is my birth certificate. But I grew up in New Orleans, and in New Orleans, when I grew up, if you were 1/32nd Negro, then you're considered Negro, and that was that was the law. So my mom's Negro, my dad's Negro. They're both more than 1/32nd Negro, which is the language. So obviously, if a child is born from two Negro parents, I'm Negro. And so I go on my job, and I grew up in Black culture. So that was I wasn't born in New Orleans. I was actually born in Houston. But I spent a year in New Orleans, and I'm from New Orleans culture, and so I definitely grew up in Black culture. I am Black. I am Black. I am white. I am Creole. But culturally, I grew up in Black neighborhoods, and so all of those ways of categorizing people and oppressing people. The beauty of what's happening today, with all of the hard things that have happened in this pandemic, is that light is being shined on, those aspects of categorizing and oppression. And I feel like we're in therapy, and we're getting, this liberation from all of that. And we're realizing how connected we all really are, right? From the virus, we're all so connected. We all so affect each other. And the beauty in human life, in our connectedness, in all of everything, in all of what's happening. I just feel such a gratitude for the stillness and the awareness that we're all getting because of, being in quarantine and being able to have these conversations, right? Having these deep conversations about what's been going on, especially in the United States for us, of shining a light on, what our country was founded on. And it's not, it's not all bad. So I don't, me, I'm an optimist, and I don't view, I'm more, like you said, like the Danielle Laporte sign. It's all for us, right? Everything that happens is for us. If I take the perspective that it's all working in my favor, everything that happens is for me to look at and say, okay, well, what can I get from that? How can I benefit from that? How is that working in a way that I can continue to move forward.
Oh, 100%. And even, to advertise this show, I use Beyonce All Night because from her album Lemonade, which is
Yeah, I
literally
heard
how
that.
do you take lemons and make it into lemonade. And
I love that.
we definitely both did that after our divorces. I mean, you learned so much financial intelligence after your divorce. For me, I was resistant, very, very resistant, but now I'm diving in. And honestly, this pandemic quarantine, and here we are in Southern California, back down into lockdown again, uh, allowed me, when my work slowed down, to actually focus on my numbers, to focus on getting my taxes done, getting my accounting done, hiring a bookkeeper, all this stuff that I kind of put off for a while because life is so chaotic. And I never would have wanted to do that, but now I'm
Right.
faced with it and it's like nothing's happening. So I'm going to use that time productively to take care of my financial health. My physical health is excellent. It's great. This is an area that I work in. So this is an area that's easy for me, like wealth and finances is easy for you. This is an
Yeah.
area you work in. And we've talked about, you and I, about how the world post-pandemic is going to need our services, where I'm helping people with health and mental health and trauma, and
Mhm.
you're helping people with rebuilding their finances. So many people, myself included, have been dramatically impacted by, this pandemic and the shutdowns, a lot of small businesses in California. But I do also want to ask you about your story
Mhm.
and see if you're willing to share, more about that and how you got to be so financially savvy.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So, I was married. I was married. I was with my husband at 21. Met him in college. Fell in love. At a young age, and went on and did all the crazy things that young people tend to do financially with money when we're in a relationship. Like he goes out and buys some golf clubs, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to go buy a new jacket or a new outfit, and he goes out and buys the guys beers, and I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
well, I'm going to go out and buy lunch for everybody. And it's like this power. It's almost a power. The typical power dynamic that happens in a relationship happened with our money. And
Mm-hmm.
so we did that throughout our marriage. And then when our marriage ended and we went to divide up our assets, well, we didn't have anything to fight over because there wasn't there wasn't this big amount of money for us
Hmm.
to need to share and split. And we didn't have children. So we split what we had. And I found myself back in Los Angeles because at the time I was living in Oregon, the last 7 years of my relationship. And I'm back in LA and I'm at my mom's house. And realizing like I'm having this whole, experience in my body that one, I'm missing a limb or something because I had been with my ex-husband for 12 years. And two, am I going to end up alone and not able to take care of myself? I'm alone now.
Hmm.
Even though the divorce, was what was needed in our relationship, we weren't suited to continue on.
Hmm.
I was afraid. I was like, oh my God, what if I never get married? What I don't, I've been working for 10 years in good jobs and I don't have anything to show for it. Like
Hmm.
what's going to happen the next 10 years? If I didn't do it then, what's going to be different now?
Hmm.
I was ashamed. I was like, oh my God, how could this happen? I
Hmm.
was afraid to go and ask anyone because I didn't want anyone to know that, me and my ex-husband didn't know what we were doing because I assumed everyone else did know what they were doing.
Hmm.
You don't realize that a lot of people don't know how to manage money when you're that age. But
Hmm.
I'm thinking, everyone knows what they're doing and I should know what I'm doing. My mother's a math teacher. I should know these things. Well, that's not true.
Hmm.
So I went out and I said, Arlene, you have got to figure this out. And I started researching and digging into all I could get my hands on. The internet was available. It wasn't what it is today, but I researched and I pulled that information and then I synthesized it together. And I had the capacity to be able to see a simplified way of looking at money that after digging into all those details, and I'll attribute that to my engineering background and also the fact that I'm holistic in my ability to use my left and right brain together, and I came up
Hmm.
with a way to create, first, um, I was able to double my net worth in the first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to double it a second time in 2 years, and then double it a third time in the next 2 years. So in 6 years, I doubled my net worth 3 times, which was like, just like, I was amazed. I was like, oh my God, look what I did. Look what and so it fueled me. And I set a goal to, I figured out that if I had saved $300,000 and invested it, that by the time I was 65, it would be $1.2 million and I would be fine. I wouldn't need to put any more money in once I had the $300,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. And I see my picture, my frame is frozen. Are you seeing that?
Yeah, it might be something with the internet. I've had a lot of issues with Instagram lately, but usually the audio stays even when the picture
Okay.
freezes. But also for anybody tuning in, if you'd rather join us live on YouTube, you can Google YouTube Natasha Edwina or my link in bio, and it's uninterrupted there. Yeah.
And so I saved the $300,000, and I actually saved it 2 years earlier than my plan. And so I decided to bump the number up to $500,000 to see how quickly I could get there. And then I got there quickly, and I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to the million. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I did. So I worked to just continue to use my system. And when I hit the $1 million, I was just like, I'm free. I'm here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's just with, having this plan in place that allowed me to be in the feminine, use both my left and right brain skills, mm-hmm. and attract opportunities that I would not have I wouldn't have even been interested in attracting more income and in better investments and, mm-hmm. A more fluid life. Mm-hmm. Had that traumatic experience not happened in my life.
Yeah, we call that in the therapy mental health field, we call it post-traumatic growth. Yeah. So it's the things that happen to you after trauma that actually contribute to your, like, an enhanced enjoyment of life or an enhanced quality of life because it was such a valuable lesson. Mm-hmm. Problem is when people get stuck there in that trauma, and they might develop the skills and the resiliency, but they get stuck in the negative symptoms. And that's, it's natural. You just have to have the skills to move through. And like I said, that's why I enjoy your approach in coaching with you for my own financial trauma. And those skills are what I teach in my body skills groups that I'm starting another round in January, but to help people move through that stuff. And I think there's a couple things that I wanted to touch on that you said too. One is the shame. Mm-hmm. That was huge for me. It was such a big piece of it. Right. As I was still going through the divorce, and there were times where I was wondering if I was going to be able to feed my kids.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And I was like, I was drinking a lot of Bulletproof Coffee at the time because I was into my Bulletproof Coffee kick. And that was beneficial because it really cut down my appetite. And there's intermittent fasting, and that's not why I was doing it, but it was like, it helped me out with my grocery bill. And I started to dip into a little bit of fear sometimes, with that, and realizing that I had to figure a way out, and I didn't want to have to go back to employment, but that was always in the back of my mind. And the minute I would start looking at classified ads, then I get a new client or a couple new clients that come in. So speaking of flow, that's what happens. And also when, the course that we met in, my intention, I actually was doing well financially at that point. So I, bought this course, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I have frequent flyer miles from all those attorney bills on my credit card.
Yep.
And then my income just went away for whatever reason, but I had set the intention to learn how to receive. And so if you want to learn how to receive abundance in all ways, mm-hmm. not just money, like you said, money is energy, but abundance in all ways from the universe, taking away your income is one way. That's one way to learn how to receive. Yeah. And so, you popped out. Let me see. Okay. We're going to put you back on Instagram. Anyway, hopefully it's just the internet's being kind of funky right now. But learning to receive that way. And then I was having very extravagant experiences. Like I was jet setting to New York. One time I actually my plane landed in New York and I was -80 in my checking account. And I was like, how did this happen? Like something happened. And now I've got 4 days to have to survive in New York City. I like literally got into the subway at 11 p.m. at night with almost no battery on my phone. I'm like, now this is really trusting feminine. And luckily I had somebody that to stay with, but there are all these subway closures on the subway. So I was like trying to remember how to get to her place, because once that phone was, and battery was gone, I was toast. And then the only financial abundance I had was a subway ticket in my pocket. But by the time I got off of the subway exit, it was gone. I don't know if somebody pulled it out of my pocket or I dropped it, but that was the last bit of financial anything that I had.
Right.
And when I got to her house, I was like, oh, thank goddess, like I'm here, safe, I'm going to sleep tonight. And I actually came home with $550 because while I was there that weekend, I did some hypnosis sessions. Like and it wasn't because I didn't get into fear. I was like, it's all going to work out. And my high vibration, my joy, my positivity attracted other goddesses to me. They didn't know that I was having financial struggles, but they just wanted to experience my hypnosis. And so I managed to do that. Plus I was treated twice to these beautiful dinners. And that to me was abundance. And because I had set the intention to receive, I did receive that graciously. Whereas before I might've felt obligated to right away kick something back or offer something or whatever else. And I realized that's one way of blocking abundance too, that sometimes, and somebody else's joy and pleasure of treating you. But I felt at that time so much shame. I didn't want anybody to know that I was in my 40s with 2 kids and 3 college degrees, a bachelor's, a master's, and nearly done with a PhD, and that financially strapped. And it was, and there's anger with that too, because of the situation that I got in, how I got into that situation. But the shame was it was a big one. I felt like I was in my 20s again and living this 20 something lifestyle, and there was no reason for it. And so life happens, like you said, for us. And
you did have to learn a big thing that we don't acknowledge is that the rules changed in corporations where they used to provide pensions, and people worked for long times at corporate for like their lifetime, in our parents' generation. And just coming from our generation from their generation to our generation, corporations stopped paying into pensions, and the government created the 401k system and the SEP situation. They call it it's ERISA, and it's legislation that allows us to self-invest into these retirement plans, whereas in the more recent past, we were taken better care of for retirement, for money. So it wasn't as big of a focus in our parents' generation. Whereas the laws changed, the corporations changed how they invest in people, and it wasn't communicated well. What happened instead is 401ks and self-employed IRAs were created, but they were opt-ins, not you're automatically in and you can opt out. So they made it our choice to opt in. Well, so many people said, oh, you know what? I don't want to do that. And then we get older and find out, oh my gosh, I should have done that. So the education didn't happen very well. And so that's why there's so many people in, like 10 years from retirement, 5 years from retirement, who aren't prepared because the change happened and the education wasn't there. So many people are in the situation where they're not funded well, where they don't have much savings. And to, pile it on top of that, consumerism is just out of control, and and marketing debt to people, right? Saying, hey, take out these credit cards, just buy it on layaway, pay it in 6 months. So we've become incredible marketers to people and incredible consumers, And unfortunately, we've not provided the education or the safety net to stop us from, creating a ton of consumer debt, a ton of student loan debt. And now we're catching up to it. It's catching up to us.
Yeah, and it's important to learn that financial literacy, and it's not a fun topic for a lot of people,
Yeah.
myself included. Although I have done the work. I got myself into that trap in my early 20s when you get to college and they're like, here, apply for a credit card. And I was, I used it within reason. Actually, my biggest credit card debt in college was a school trip to Costa Rica. So, I mean, that was a very valuable investment. But I paid it off I got myself out of debt. And then, it was sad to be back there again, which felt like it wasn't my fault except for my bad romantic choices, perhaps. So I have to take responsibility for that. And I have changed in that area as well. But I mean, life happens sometimes. It could have been anything. It could have been like a car accident. It could have been a major health crisis. It could have been, any kind of thing that sends people into this devastating financial situation. And I think, especially here in the States, we don't have good safety nets, and we don't have. It's like you have to have the time and energy to put into. And sometimes even money. You have to have money to make money, or have money to learn how to manage your money too. So it's getting ahead just, that much. So I don't know if anybody is still with us on Instagram. Can you hear us, even though Arlene's screen is blurring out and freezing? I don't know why it's doing that. But let us know if you're on and you can hear her and you can hear us. Like I said, if not, we are on YouTube as well, Natasha Edwina. And this will be recorded. It is recorded.
It is recorded.
Yeah, it is recording. But yeah, I feel like learning those skills can be very daunting, especially for women, because I've heard this story over and over. Even Barbara Stanny, who wrote the book, several books on financial literacy. I think she was the daughter of the founder of H&R Block.
Yeah, she is.
And she her story is way worse than mine.
And she's from the earlier generation where wives didn't, she didn't come from the era of equal, like your era, like is more equal partnership. She came from an era where she was with a financial husband and he took care of all the money, even though she's the one that brought wealth into the family from her father.
Right. She had her inheritance and her husband.
He blew it. Right.
He used her inheritance. He was so, talk about shame and embarrassment.
Right.
She talked about that. She was so embarrassed that she would marry someone who, that would do that. But we can't control people's traumas or addictions. We don't know. We only see what they show us.
Don't.
So they show us what they're capable of. And then it's like, then when they show you, did you stay or did you leave? That's the only thing that you should be feeling bad about. I think it's like, when did you bounce? When you saw that ship was starting to sink because somebody was not pulling their weight or
did you get in and take control? Did you not just punt and assume that he should just continue leading the money? That's, so much of what I'm about is we want to be an equal partnership on understanding the numbers, whoever's running them. You don't both have to do them, but you both want to understand them in partnership. Yeah. So, you may be working in the house like Barbara Stanny was, and he may be going out and working, but you want to know what's going on with the money. You don't want it to be, oh, he manages the money and I don't know anything about it, because the statistics are that men die younger and there's more women in their older age who can't take care of them, who don't have the funding. I mean, my fear wasn't founded on something I made up. It was statistically based. I had read about that was the largest, poverty. Single women, widows or single, are they're the ones who are in poverty more because men tend to die sooner. So and then the women often don't know how to manage the money afterwards because they weren't involved with it. And it doesn't need to be that way. It's like we can be in our feminine and know enough to start to enjoy it. for it to start to be a fulfilling experience, for you to start to look at your numbers and go, ooh, my numbers are growing. Things are getting good. And I don't mean dead. I mean, your net worth's growing. It's like, ooh, it's starting to grow. It's getting bigger. My income's growing. I'm finding new ways to earn income. Like it starts to become a nourishing part of your life. It's no longer like, oh my gosh, money is like, so traumatic, or money's the problem. It's like all those stories that we learned or that are in our system. Maybe we learned them from our family. Maybe we learned them from the media. That starts to lighten up, right? You start to release it, breathing through the heart, doing some other tools that I teach. It assists you in releasing stories that we just learned from other people.
Right. Yeah. And you do use, and I think I don't think I would work with a wealth coach that did not do that. But that's so much of what I appreciate about my work with you, is that it's so aligned with the energy medicine and the spirituality and just the lifestyle that I live, the way that I practice in my work and my personal life. And so it's just nice to have that continuity with you, that you not only understand all those concepts, but you're using them too. And they're not at odds with building wealth or being in this physical world. And that feels really good. And, again, going back to like money as energy in exchange, the divine feminine, whether it's an actual mother, or we're talking about Mother Earth, or we're talking about women, or we're talking about the unpaid labor of women in the home, or Warren Buffett says that he understands, as he was building his billions, like he had a plan, just like you. He had a plan, and he did the calculations, and he knew one day he was going to be sitting real pretty. And he started early. And he also knew that America was founded off of the unpaid labor of slaves and women. And so he said his goal was always to give back, and he was going to give back to those communities because he realized that he had an easier way through as a white man. And just the fact that he acknowledged that and
I didn't know that. I didn't know
you didn't know that about him?
I did not know that story about him. I know that I really like his energy.
Yeah.
I enjoy him. He's so unassuming. He's such an unassuming person. But I did not know that story.
It's in the documentary Becoming Warren Buffett, which I thought was going to be about financial literacy or whatever. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to just sit through this. But actually it was,
you're like, boring.
Boring. And it kind of started that way. He started at being an entrepreneur at like age 9 when he was doing something with vending machines or whatever. It's in his blood. It's his passion.
Yeah.
He's not my client, so I can't diagnose, but I'm going to just go out there and say, I'm pretty sure he's got Asperger's. He's on the autistic spectrum, along with his best friend, Bill Gates. I think they're both, there. And they which is nothing wrong with that, but it's like they have this single focus. They like to perseverate on their passion. And that money just happens to be his passion. And he's very aware of that. He said, I know it's my passion. And he's very aware that he is unskilled on many other things, and that he needed his wife. He said, I needed her to do the things that she did. And my wealth is her wealth, because I couldn't have done any of this without her taking care of stuff in the home. And so she was big into social justice. And he said the plan was always for her to tell me where to donate it. That was her work. But not only did she not get paid for the contributions that she offered to the planet, but she had to pay money to do her work, which is the social justice advocacy and fundraising and all this stuff. It was a very different world. He understood that. So he wanted to rebalance some of that energy investment on the planet. And so when we're looking at even our numbers, and this is one thing I realized also working with you, is that I'm looking at my numbers. Sometimes I can still get a little disillusioned because I have student loan debt, and you were brilliant in saying, let's separate that out from your net worth. That's an investment. So let's put this over here and look at the rest of it, which was a game changer for me. That was a big shift.
Yeah, it can be overwhelming, and it doesn't need to be.
Yeah, and I get overwhelmed easier.
It doesn't need to be.
That just cleared space for so much more hope, and I could actually see the progress, like the card. Absolutely everything is progress. Like I could start to see more of the progress and feel more of the progress. And then I looked at my life and I'm like, man, I've been an entrepreneur for 5 years. I did it. Like I figured it out. Like I didn't have to go back to employment. I just got back from Tulum. I mean, the whole trip cost me like $500. Everybody's like, oh, it looks so expensive. I was like, no, it wasn't the cheapest vacation I've ever taken. It was like one of the most powerful, beautiful, amazing vacations. And, you know, we were doing work down there too. So it was also a work trip, but that's how I live my life, like doing work as well as, it says, it says your volume's muted. Somebody is saying on IG Live that your volume is muted, but that can't be because actually I've been having a lot of trouble. I've been having so much trouble with Instagram lately that I'm getting suspicious about why I'm having trouble.
Like maybe they're trying to block you.
They don't like my sex talks.
Can you hear Arlene on Instagram?
Yeah, let us know. I'll just keep it going just in case. It could just be my phone,
but I only hear you. Huh, still.
Shucks. Okay, well, I tell you what, if you want to listen in on what we're talking about, because it's really exciting conversation.
It could be him, just, no worries. No one else has mentioned it.
But we don't,
well, you know, and maybe the others aren't listening, so
they might not be
responding.
So but we're on YouTube, Coco, so find us, Natasha Edwina, on YouTube, and we're streaming live. So as soon as you Google my name, you'll see it, you'll see the video, and you can just join us there. And then I usually repost the link as well. But yeah, like, you know, understanding that my life that I've created, this is one level of financial freedom. And even before COVID hit, my definition of wealth. So your definition, you had a numbers goal, which I like working with you because I need to get my head there more, because I'm more in the, like, I always want pleasure. I just want to enjoy and get the most out of this life on earth. And so my goal was, of financial freedom was to fly anywhere, anytime. So I could, if I want to go somewhere, I could leave tomorrow if I wanted to. I don't have to report in or call in sick to any kind of job. And I have the money and the funds to go. Like, to me, that is a dream life, right? So that's been my goal. And I have all these pictures about what that would look like and visualizations, and I write it down. Like, I write down that goal to have my desire list and all of that. And it's anytime I've ever done that in my life, I've gotten there. Like, when I was living in Wisconsin, I was dreaming about California palm trees, and I've been here now for 20 years. So I know this will happen. And COVID hit, and suddenly the airfare prices went down, the travel prices went down. I don't have anywhere to report to, because the wellness center that I was speaking at every week, didn't need me because they're shut down. They're in a hotel. Right. And then my kids are now homeschooling. And so we have a lot more freedom than we had before. And we took a trip to Santa Monica. Again, like I said, I went to Mexico, and I realized, okay, if I don't look at my bank accounts or my numbers or whatever, I'm actually closer to that financial freedom goal that I've been thinking about. I'm inching closer. And now that I've felt a little bit of that freedom, you never want to go back. So I'm going to hang on to that while I still build those numbers, right? And I still work on that. So there's gifts in everything.
And freedom isn't just the number. You're right. There's freedom. What you're describing is freedom, the freedom to go any place you want, right? It's like location freedom. Being able to get up and get on an airplane and go wherever you want. There is a freedom in that, because many people can't do that. So that is a tremendous freedom. And there's freedom to choose how to spend your day. Right? You have that. You have that.
I've had that for 5 years.
Yeah.
And I'm tired and I don't want to do anything, I don't. I take care of my body.
And that's the beauty of having a system in place. You may not be financially free yet, but you're financially secure in that you know that you have a plan, you have a direction, and you have a system that you're using, so that you're not going to, get kicked out of your where you're living, or it's like, that you've taken leadership over your financial life.
Yeah, the basics are met.
Yeah, and that you can go and, like, how to go and and create money, just like you did when we were in New York.
Oh yeah.
So it's like you have the ability to, have money flow into your life. You have skills. That's part of your assets is your skills, your ability to generate income because of your amazing contributions that you make. And you do it with hypnosis. You do it with your with the groups. Like you have a group starting on January 12th. That's going to help 10 women or however many women enroll in that program.
And men, it's co-ed. We'll see.
And men, okay, it's a co-ed
but it tends to be more popular with women, but we'll see.
Yeah.
And it's it's even more than that too. It's the community. These people that join this group, they just stay lifelong friends. It's beautiful, and that's what I'm really excited about offering right now, because we need that. And it's a virtual group, but then you have reunions and people meet up and you support each other.
How deep is our friendship because we meet virtually?
Yes.
I mean, I've met you in person
maybe once, twice,
at least twice. But not much more than that.
Yeah.
Yet I know you deeply because of because of virtual communication. And frankly, I think this communication is even deeper because we're just right here, and we don't have a bunch of distractions going on at a restaurant or out somewhere. So we're having
nobody interrupting you, and it's you don't have to travel, so you can fit, you can fit in all of the things that are important for you.
Yeah. The communities for learning right now are really tremendous at providing support and that social connection. I mean, I know some people are sick of being on Zoom, maybe for work, but for people who aren't working from 9 to 5 days a week on Zoom, for those who aren't, it's a huge opportunity for learning new things, particularly about wealth, or particularly about health and mind-body work that you do, right? It's a phenomenal opportunity because you can do it from home, and you can make really deep connections. I mean, I have friends in London, in Spain, in South Africa, in Toronto that I meet with on a regular basis, and that I've developed really deep friendships with because of Zoom and Skype facilitating
Absolutely.
that. Yeah,
absolutely. My clients are international. I've had clients from all over the world, and I love it because I love learning about new cultures. I love interacting with folks from other cultures, and technology allows me to do this. And I don't even know if I have any clients in San Diego. I don't know if that I ever have. I mean, when I had a brick and mortar private practice, when I was still practicing therapy, I did. But since I've gone full time with my business, it's been more like international connections. And there's something that's more normalized now. And I feel like this feminine way of creating wealth is going to be more normalized. And this, like you said, the balancing of the right and left brain, and knowing that this is the spiritual sexual empowerment show. And I asked you to come on here. How do you feel like, your services fit into that spiritual sexual empowerment?
Oh gosh, I think one of my observations is that we're just not talking about money enough. So I'm starting with having the conversation with women about money, right? We're having this dialogue about money. I talk about money a lot, and I do it from in a very feminine way because I'm feminine, right? I'm naturally a feminine woman. I'm not a masculine woman. I mean, I have masculinity, obviously, but I lean toward feminine. And so, regarding, the spiritual sexual empowerment, the language of talking about money for a woman, for a hot, woman to be talking about money. I mean, if that's not, a empowered place to be in. I mean, I was talking with someone yesterday who's starting a program that I'm starting tomorrow, which I'll share on my Grow Wealth with Ease program. And we're talking, and she said, "Oh my goodness, I don't have this conversation with anyone. Like I'm not talking. It feels so good to be having a conversation about money and investing and wealth about cryptocurrency and writing covered calls and like some different types of investments that she's just not having those conversations with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the empowerment that comes from us opening up our mouths and talking about money and being willing to have people, what? She's talking about money. Yeah, we talk about money.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's how we transact value. It's how we transact services with each other. Of course I'm going to talk about it. Why are we afraid to talk about money?
It's such a taboo. And it's like, in my dissertation, the reason I started this show, a lot of it is because I'm doing my dissertation on Kundalini energy, which is, kind of comes from the lower chakras, and
Mm-hmm.
it's second chakra is money, power, sex. It's all those things.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that we're afraid to talk about. They're taboo subjects, money and sex. Why, but like you're saying, here you are talking about money, here I am talking about sex, because we're comfortable with those topics and we feel that it needs to be spoken about to heal it and to make a change. If you don't speak about it, you can't heal it. You don't acknowledge it, you can't heal it. And I love that you're doing that and you're getting that information out. And then once you heal that second chakra area, then actually you can attract more romance and love into your life too. And one of the things I realized in talking with fellow sister goddesses is you can usually subtract, if you're a heterosexual woman or a bisexual woman, you can usually put men instead of money in your statements of how your life is going. Mm-hmm. And it's usually pretty accurate. It's pretty similar.
Interchangeable, right?
Interchangeable. So
yeah,
but it goes back to these money, power, sex wounds that, tend to be second chakra wounds.
And once we heal it,
mm-hmm.
and the beauty is you heal it and you heal it and you grow it at the same time,
mm-hmm.
right? So we do these in parallel, which is right brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things happening in parallel as opposed to linear left brain.
Mm-hmm.
So we do it in parallel, and it creates so much more room for a relationship with a man or for a relationship with another partner, because you're no longer looking for that partner to rescue you.
Right.
You're not dependent on that partner.
Mm-hmm.
You're coming in as an equal partner, and it's so much more fun to come in and just play and enjoy and be light.
Mm-hmm.
And not feel so desperate, like, oh, I so need this relationship to work out so that you can basically pay my bills and make sure I don't die hungry.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we don't want that. We don't need to live from there. But for women to have financial literacy, to understand money, to have it flowing in and out of their lives, and to actually be planning for creating assets that can generate income for them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how sexy is that? How hot is that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's like, I'm having more fun dating and in relationships now because I'm not feeling like oh my gosh, I hope he likes me. I hope he stays with me forever. I don't feel like that. I feel like, what? I enjoy men,
filled up,
flirting with men. I enjoy dating men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fun. It's wonderful.
Mm-hmm. And and you and I have had dating conversations along the way in our work together too. And I remember at one point when I finally was starting to get my numbers on track and starting to like get all my financial stuff taken care of, I was like, oh, Arlene, I really like this guy, but I don't know if I should date him because he doesn't really make much money at all. And it's not like I felt like he had to, like, I'm not looking for someone to take care of me.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm not at that point yet, I'll say, of my life where I have a lot of overflow and I have 2 children, I'm still moving through my PhD program. And I was like, oh, I don't know if that's a good idea to date somebody that is not really making that much money. And I really appreciate what you said to me, which is he doesn't need to, take care of you. He just needs to be able to take care of himself. You don't want to take on another dependent or another liability. And And I feel like that's basically what you're saying about us ladies too, is that, we should be able to take care of ourselves at minimum, take care of ourselves. And then we're free to date whoever, because we don't have to depend on anybody. We have ourselves. And ideally, synergistically, everybody, not everybody, but I know I would like to be in a power couple where you synergistically build wealth together, you build love together, you build you create that synergistic energy together. But because of your thoughts on that, I did not miss out on a beautiful love affair, and I went for it. And it was
Yeah.
amazing and healing and lovely and so rich, maybe not financially, but in love energy. And that's actually when I was the most prosperous in my business, because
I recall.
I was so loved and well
Yeah.
taken care of and adored and worshipped that, I was free to go out and attract all of that money and create more income.
Yeah. And you did, right? It's like, it is a really attractive energy because you just felt full. You didn't feel like you were in need of something,
Right.
that you were missing something, that you were empty. And I just want to mention, I know, I know people, women who are with husbands, men who they are the big breadwinners and the women aren't. And the woman has taken on understanding money, learning how the money works in their family, and is contributing clearly, obviously, in taking care of the household, the children, and also took that step to learn about their money. Didn't stay back and say, well, I'm not contributing. No, yes, you are contributing. And you want to know what's going on with the money in your relationship. Don't assume that because you're not the earner, that it's not your money too, because it is your money too, because you're helping build that, that household and enabling your partner to go out and bring the wealth in.
Like Warren Buffett says, like this man that I dated was for me too. It's a contribution.
Absolutely.
To your financial well-being.
The key is to have the awareness around the money and to go and seek understanding it. To not feel unworthy of knowing anything about the money. You are worthy. We are worthy. And we're smart enough to understand it. It's not that we're not smart enough. It does, there's so much information out there, and it's hard to know, where to start and where to put your investments. And those are the things that I found daunting as well. But I dug into the detail, and I was able to rise above and see, oh, this is really how you do this. And it's actually not up here. It's actually not daunting. It's not daunting when you get above all of the noise.
Oh gosh, getting above all the noise. Yeah. It reminds me of my knees. Like I need to build the muscle in my knees so that they don't slide around and get swollen. Because as long as they're sliding around and getting swollen, then I won't build muscle. It's just like, you got to get just enough muscle so that they stabilize, and then you're in the clear. And that's what it reminds me of what you're talking about. Yes. So where do we start if we want to build financial strength? Where would a goddess like me, or somebody that went through a devastating divorce, or somebody that maybe they want to leave their partner right now after quarantine. Maybe they're like, whoa, this is not working out, but they're afraid to leave because of finances. Where does someone start with rebuilding?
Yeah. So you start by coming to my website, heartfulwealth.com. It's the word heart, like the one I'm wearing, and FUL, like grateful, heartful, and then wealth.com. And you can go on there and download my the mistakes even smart women are making. Learn the mistakes even smart women are making. You also can direct messenger me. And I do one-on-one coaching for a 2-month minimum. And then I also have a program that starts tomorrow morning that I'm technically closed on, but for your audience, I will entertain a couple more participants. So if you're interested in that, direct messenger me
immediately.
Immediately, if you're interested in that program. And it's a 3-month program. We actually will learn the system over the next 2 weeks. So by December 18th, your system will be in place. And then in January and February, we work to use the tools to create the flow and the growth in net worth and income. And what else do I want to share with you? Oh, I want to share with you that it's $897 for the 3 months. or $319 a month. So I have a payment plan if you want to pay it on a monthly basis.
Oh, wow. That's
So,
great.
yeah.
That sounds like a lot of value and can really just get people going.
It actually will set them up. What it does is it gives you the container to create wealth. So you're not wondering, what should I invest in? Should I take this job? Should I do this? We spend so much time spinning around, am I doing the right things? I haven't done that. Whereas my system actually makes you allows you to make those decisions. So you know that you have a plan and you know what decision to make for you, just like you do, which is why you look and feel the way that you do, because you know you have the plan in place. You may not be at your financial freedom point, but you know you have a plan, and you know that you're not going to wake up in the middle of the night and go, oh my God, I have that bill due. Oh my God, that's not a worry.
Right. That's a huge piece of stress management, which is my expertise. My PhD is not having that stress. And Ricardo, thank you so much. We cannot hear her. Yeah, something's going on with Instagram, but I'm afraid to restart the live because
that is so
I don't know if
crazy.
we're going to leave it. But we are live on YouTube. So if you're interested in this conversation about building wealth, Ricardo, go Google me on YouTube, Natasha Edwina, or link in my bio, and you'll see we're streaming live on YouTube, and it will be posted on my page, the link to the YouTube video, so that you can listen again. And so what Arlene is just talking about now is her program for building wealth. It's a 3-month program, and she starts tomorrow morning. So it's full, but she's going to let any listeners that are interested in it slide in. If you DM her tonight, Arlene Broussard on Instagram, she's obviously tagged on my page as well. And yeah, only $8.97 for 3 months. That's really, really reasonable for
the
really
value
good
that you'll get from it.
Absolutely.
It'll change your life.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I know especially for women, but a good handful of men too, sometimes we learn better through connection. We learn better through personal relationship. And for me, I've reached out to professionals before for help, and they'll say, well, I have this course or I have this thing. And I'm like, I'm in a PhD program. I do not have the bandwidth to sit down and self-direct myself through a course. But if it's a personal relationship, it's a group call. This is why I do the one-on-one coaching with you, because I need at this point in my life to learn through relationship. It's where my success comes from. The accountability, I'm still working on being in integrity with myself in the way that, I consider integrity my highest value, especially for others. But that piece of being in integrity with myself is, am I going to do what I said I was going to do for myself? I'll prioritize stuff for others, but can I do what I'm going to do for myself? And so meeting with somebody helps me stay accountable to myself and my goals and what I've set out to do. So I love that you've diversified your offerings so that you can hit different income levels, different needs and personalities of folks, and still give them the help they need to get out of this pandemic craziness, and just to become more empowered, to get their power back and their stress back, because stress is immunity. And if you're stressed, your immune system is like way down. And that is the biggest contributor to your health, is being able to manage your stress. And you also meditate in your services.
We do.
And you offer that. So it's like you're hitting all the levels.
Thank you for reminding me of that. I do have a free financial meditation on Tuesdays on Facebook in the Heartful Wealth private Facebook community. So if you look me up on Facebook, I can connect you to my private group where we do a weekly financial meditation, which is a big part of connecting the heart to your money to your heart.
And that's Tuesdays when?
At 9 a.m. Pacific.
Oh man, I might have to pop back on Facebook just for that.
Yeah, it's a 9-minute meditation. My intention is to start streaming them on Instagram as well. Look, once I figure out the technology, which
I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
And then, you're talking about, reducing stress and taking care of your health. as your wealth coach, I'm going to talk about the program that you're offering on January 12th. The benefit that your audience and my audience could get from doing your program. If you could tell me a little bit more about your program, I can share it with some of my audience.
Yeah, I would love to. And I feel like that group, I did launch it for the first time virtually. I've been doing these groups for 10 years, but I did launch it for the first time virtually right after our first lockdown, because I just hopped into action and I'm like, the people need some support. And I feel like it really was a co-creation with you, because you were encouraging me, because it was a big leap for me to roll it out that fast. And I was pulling all-nighters to get the electronic, because I had to
figure out all the electronics, because you're used to doing it in person.
Yeah, exactly. I had to figure out the systems. And also, when you're filling a group, as you know, there's a lot of freaking paperwork and a lot of like coordinating of schedules and money and all this stuff. And so an automated system is almost necessary in those circumstances in the interest of time. So that's what took me so long to create all that. And I was like, oh man, it's not perfect. I want it to look very professional and I don't have all this down yet. I'm still learning it. And you're like, do it anyway. I so appreciate that, because I wouldn't have. And because that you said, do it anyway, I sold out both of my groups. I did around 2 simultaneously. I only have 10 spots, and each one is very intimate. It can only be that small amount because it's very intimate. And so I sold out both of them. The participants loved them. And at that time it was only an 8-week group. And I realized we need more. We need a little bit longer, because everybody was kind of in shock that, wait, it's done.
Don't stop. We want to keep going. Yeah.
And so
especially at the beginning of the pandemic, right? Everyone's like freaking out.
Right.
We were all like, what's going on here? We deeply needed the support.
Needed community and stress relief. And so, so I, in this round, I'm building in an annual monthly check-in. So once you do the 10-week skills group, then you get a monthly check-in again for that accountability and staying connected with your community. But basically, essentially what it is, it's a very structured group. It's evidence-based, it's science-based. There's been research on it. I was trained as a facilitator for this particular group. And then I add my own specialized knowledge through my work as a marriage and family therapist and nutrition advisor, hypnotherapist, mind body medicine, PhD. And so each session is a different topic of stress relief and self-care. And so we do things like drawings. We do to bring up the unconscious conscious. We talk about nutrition. And then we put that into practice, mindful eating. We talk about movement and dancing or yoga or whatever kind of movement and how that relates to self-care and health. We talk about the energy of emotions and how you need to move through emotions. And the only problem is when you get stuck in them. So it's about how to get unstuck from some of these feelings, whether it's anger, depression, rage, even joy. Being stuck in joy can go overboard into mania and you don't get stuff done. I saw that with my Kundalini awakening. That's partly why I got into such financial trouble too, is I'm like, I can't do any accounting. I'm blissed out. So I know what that feels like. But just moving through that, what else? We talk about family systems dynamics, like intergenerational patterns, and bringing awareness to that. We draw out family diagrams and we discuss that. We talk about spirituality. We talk about a new mind body topic each week. And it's, we start with meditation. We end with meditation. It's 2 weeks, every 2 hours every week. And then I teach a little bit of the science, and then we practice the skill. I introduce the skill, we practice it together, then we process. So it goes very deep, very quickly. It's very intimate. It's for me and my own trauma, which I've had a lot of, and it seems to keep coming for me, but I keep navigating and sailing right through because I know these skills. I've learned these skills, and in becoming a facilitator of this group, I had to go through it and be a participant first for 3 different rounds.
Well, in like the work that we do in Heartful Wealth, the being in it over time, it starts to integrate in your body.
Yes.
Right. So for me, money truly is joyful. It is one of my favorite things to do because I've integrated it I've integrated it. All the fear stories that I had, years ago are gone.
Yeah.
Now it's play.
Yeah.
So like the work that you're doing, the trauma, it's like you're teaching the tools, and they actually integrate in our body.
Well, and that's the key too. You're talking about fun and play. And this is why there's so many similarities between your work and my work, is that these groups are fun. Like nobody wants to go to a therapist group and like, let's work on your trauma, unless they absolutely have to, because it's not fun work.
Right.
Like,
right.
No, life is traumatic.
Yeah, like no.
I'm not digging that up. Like I don't
Right.
want to. And I've even had people come to me and say, Natasha, like I was sexually abused and I never had any treatment for it. And I don't feel like I really need to open up and like open that box. And I'm like, hey, I don't think you do either, unless it comes up naturally.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're seeing that there's a pattern or something keeps coming up in your relationships, then it's time to dive in. So that's what this group does. It creates a safe container where we're practicing managing coping skills, like managing the nervous system. And that way, once you're calm, whatever needs to come up comes up. Yeah. It's kind of like when I was in Tulum, like we were here in this beautiful place with this very safe group of healers, and shit started to come up because it was safe to come up. It didn't have to be pushed back down. And we moved through so much. We deepened our relationships, and it was such a beautiful experience. So that's what happens in this Mind Body Skills group as well. And it's fun. Like it's fun to meditate. It's fun. Like one of the sessions is guided imagery, and people love that group. And for me, when I was first learning how to meditate, I couldn't keep my mind still for even 5 minutes. I was like, what are we doing? I could be making some to-do lists right now. Like, why am I meditating? This is so silly. Yeah. But then I experienced the guided imagery, and I was like, oh, wow. Like I had unicorns coming up in my imagination and all of this stuff. And I was like, whoo, I woke up and I like felt so good. I was like, that was so much fun. It's like being a kid again. And that is how I got into meditation. I started with imagery, and then I kind of weaved into different types of meditation to the point now where I can meditate for an hour and just be totally blissed out during that hour. And so that's what it is. It's really an entry-level place for people to experience the power that they have, which is their mind-body connection in the many different ways, from nutrition to imagery to meditation to spirituality to all of these things. And you don't even have to practice all of them. You just get a buffet to see what one resonates with you and start doing that in your life. And then you get to just navigate through whatever comes your way. And had I not had that training or that experience in these groups before my divorce would have done me in. There were some very dark days, very, very dark days, to the point of some days I didn't want to wake up again because it was just too hard. There was too much efforting. It was just hard. But at the same time, on the other end, I'm going through this Kundalini awakening. I'm so blissed out. And so I just flip-flop back and forth between that. And yet, how did that Kundalini awakening start? Because I was meditating a lot. So it was protective. I felt like I had this, bliss cloud around me. And I want to teach other people how to create that and how to turn on the bliss when they need it, because it is the most powerful thing to help you get through trauma and also heal trauma. Because once you realize that you can feel that way, all that other stuff, you give it permission to start to release and fade away. And you don't have to hold on to it anymore, but your body doesn't know that because it's still trying to keep you safe. Kind of like me not trusting people looking at my numbers. It's like, no, don't do that again. Yeah. And then once you find somebody, the safe container, you can start to do that work. It's all very interrelated, but it's fun. The groups are fun. I wouldn't do them if they weren't, because I'm all about pleasure.
Right. Yeah. It's like we're here to enjoy ourselves.
Yes.
Right. It's like, why be here if you're not going to enjoy, lots of it?
Yes. And, going back to your, what you were saying about it's fun for you to do your numbers. I'm almost there. Like
woohoo, I love hearing that.
I know.
I haven't heard you say that to me before. What time is it? It's 8:16.
We're going to document this.
I'm going to document this.
Because I'm still not, I know you're like, Natasha, on the first of the month, like go through your spreadsheet, open up your spreadsheet, and it's still like a scary monster to me most of the time. I'm like, oh, like even my computer is kind of like a scary monster to me most of the time because I have so much work to do, right? Or so much like PhD stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yet I've had that thought lately where I'm like, I'm actually looking forward to opening up my spreadsheet and putting my goals on there and like
Because
seeing what my numbers are.
You're getting everything done.
Yeah. Cause
You know, it's like you're moving. I mean, you just went to Tulum.
Yeah.
It's like you are living, you know, a beautiful life. And you're not, you know, calling me saying, oh my gosh, how am I going to pay the rent? How, you know, what, it's like, you're not in crisis with money, you know, which is huge. You went through a significant financial trauma. And to say that you're, you know, you're good. You're sleeping well at night. You're, you know, you're not wondering, you know, how am I going to feed my 2 children? You have 2 children that you're raising.
Yeah. And again, it's like falling back on that internal wealth, the skills, the things that I've been through, and then putting that out into offerings and whatnot. But yeah, those goals on, I mean, and I think it's beautiful how you told me to put my goals on my spreadsheet, because then it connects to the numbers and why I'm doing the numbers. And that motivates me, because when I see like, oh, how much, you asked me, how much do you want to make next month, Natasha? And then what does it take to get there? Okay. You can't sit and wait until your copy is perfect, or you can't wait until you're, you know, to launch this program until it's perfect, because that's what it's going to take is that motivation, and that energy pull from the future pulls you into the future.
Yes. And, you know, and that's the, you know, the help of a different person, you know, another person to get us to move. Because, you know,
thank you for saying that.
Left alone by ourselves, it's really easy to stay cushy in our, you know, in our idyllic life of going to the beach or going for a walk around the lake and not taking that next step.
Yep.
But when someone, a coach, a support person says, just do it anyway, and you do it, oh my goodness, you sell out your program. You find out that you actually have your net worth's growing. You actually can pay all your bills. You actually have the progress that you're making is reinforcing, right? It makes you feel like, oh my God, look at my numbers. My numbers look good. I'm like, you know, I'm so much of it is we're afraid to look at our numbers. You have that memory of being afraid to look at your numbers. I'm afraid. People used to be afraid to open up their retirement statements, right? You've got your CalPERS or your retirement. It's like from when you were working, you know, in
school district,
in the school district, you're you didn't look at that. It's you couldn't even remember what the password was.
Oh, well, that's okay.
No?
Okay, since we're just going to get real right now, full disclosure. Oh, man. Okay, when I was in a job, a 9-to-5, and I had an office that I went to every day, and I had a routine where every Monday was admin day, like I did, and I still do that with my business. Every Monday is admin day until the show happens. I had those passwords. I had everything organized in my tabs and my work. But then once I went into entrepreneurship, I was like, wow, everything's willy-nilly. And I didn't have the time to kind of set it up and convert it over. And so it was a big old mess that nobody seemed to be able to help me figure out until you came along. And you literally sat with me and we just logged in to figured out reset the passwords, figured out all these accounts, and helped set me up to a program that automatically tracks it. So it's really easy to gather my numbers. And that was some of my frustration, is because I don't have a lot of time. And so and then even if I did, I have 2 bambinos that are mom every 30 seconds. And you can't have that when you're calculating or you're looking at numbers, and then you're being logged out of this screen and then all this stuff. So you literally sat down with me and pretty much held my hand to get all that stuff on the spreadsheet. And now I guess that's why there's not as much resistance, because I know I can open it up and log into one thing and there's everything. And it does grow, because retirement naturally grows. Like that's the whole thing, is it
does if you're not overspending like me and my husband used to do. Right? It does if you're not competing, you know, with, well, he bought that, so I'm going to buy this.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to be careful with that, because we often get into that place of pacifying ourselves with material things, with with consumption. And when you're not looking, you don't know what's going on.
Well, that was my story even while I was married. Actually, that was probably the beginnings of my divorce because I'm a Taurus. So when you talk about like sometimes you need somebody to push you, yeah, you're speaking to a Taurus. Like we're very stable and we're very hardworking. We're very consistent. We're always there. We're reliable. We've got stamina for decades, but sometimes we need a little push to get us moving.
Yeah.
And so I know that about myself, that I need that other person to kind of help me with that. But yeah, in my marriage, I was like, at a certain point, we were making over 6 figures combined. He was working part-time. I was working full-time. I was putting every raise into my retirement. I was on track, and I was like, dude, like we should be owning a house right now. We should have a savings account. We should, like, there's no excuse. Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
But it was because we weren't forward, or I was forward thinking about that, but like we weren't putting it in, we weren't being intentional about our goals. And so I woke up one day, I'm like, we are financially stable. We're no longer in crisis. And so we need to start looking for the future. And then as soon as I started, then, like you said, paying a lot of attention to the numbers, I realized money was missing. And our tax, like his tax statements, like weren't matching up with our accounts and his deposits. And I was like, what's going on here? And then I looked at my accountant, like, what's going on here? And he's like doesn't want to say anything, but he knows what's happening.
He knows.
And I'm like, holy hell, like I have to get a divorce because this is not partnership. Like, and that was
He's
just
taking money out of my accounts and not saying anything about it.
Yeah. And of course there was no, to this day, there's no admitting of that, but the numbers don't lie. The numbers are there. And so, but yeah, and I realized I will never get ahead in life. I will be that scared older woman if I stay in this marriage because I don't know where the money's going. And I needed to have that security. So it's a way to, it's been a rough go making that transition. But again, working with you does give me hope. A lot of hope that
I'm glad.
I have a long life left,
Yeah.
So this is where I'm at. And you build those skills, just like with my groups, you build those skills. Nobody can take those skills from you.
No. And it gets easier, right? It gets easier. Like life gets easier. And I think that's part of, like the joy, and we're seeing on Instagram that people can't hear.
Oh, I know. I'm so sorry, guys. I should just stop the video at this point. Stop the video because we're live on YouTube. I wish I can actually just put that on. We are live on YouTube, but I'm trying to save the recording because I think at least at the very beginning, we were normal.
I think when I went out and came back in is when my sound went away.
Shoot. I wonder, Okay, let me just put my YouTube in here. Okay. There we go. Then maybe, hopefully, if anybody else pops in.
The what you were talking about there, I mean, the peace and the so much is freed up once you start, doing this work or any work that you start doing. And particularly I know for you, like I look at you and how more at ease you are in your business, in your entrepreneurship, like how much has changed through the pandemic because you get better and better at it. It becomes things that used to be so difficult are easy now, right? It gets easier and easier. And so then you have space to learn the next thing, to learn something else. And those skills that you used to not have, and I'm going to say particularly managing your money, it gets easier. It's not a thing that you like, oh, I just don't get money. No, it's actually a very learnable skill and it gets easier quick. It's the problem is that we're just not looking at it because we have so much anxiety around it. Because we have too much belief that we don't understand it, or I can't do it, it's too hard. And so we don't attempt it. But as we get into the systems, right? We actually look at the numbers, we get in the systems and we have the support to work it and to know that we're doing it the right way, once we get there, it's like, oh, it starts to make sense. You start to see patterns. It starts to become a really fun part of your life.
Yeah. And I would say too, that for people out, I think especially people that are having to do a switcheroo now with their job or with entrepreneurship or whatever else, like that's where your services come in really handy, because I did have those money management skills when I had the same paycheck every month, and it came in the first every month, the same amount. And I knew exactly how it was going to be allocated, and I knew how to plan. But when you go into your own business, you just don't know, like some
variable income,
boom or bust, at least until you reach that stability. And it does boil down to stress again, because you can't do your best thinking under stress. And so when you're in fear or you're in stress, and for me, again, as a Taurus, we're the financial sign. So money fear is our biggest fear. Like that's our security is our biggest fear. And so, this was really, a huge, again, a trauma, like a huge bomb for me. And then again, the shame, like, how do you have these skills? You have these skills, but you can't do it. Like, why can't I do it? Why can't I get this?
Right. You didn't understand. You're like, how come I used to be able to do this? Why can't I do it now?
Yeah. But then, having a lot of things going on, and that's where everybody's at right now. I feel like, whether they're married or single, or they have kids or they don't have kids, or a PhD program or not, like, everybody's dealing with all this uncertainty and not knowing, and streams of income going, some more coming. Businesses now are being shut down again today in California, that have invested all this money into being able to be outside. And now they're like, sorry, we still can't, be in business. So how are they going to survive through this? And I'm sure that they're having money stress and fears too. So yeah, just really, really excited about your work, and glad that you stepped out of your comfort zone to be on this video with me. And, hopefully, there'll be some more collaborations with us in the future, because I do see, like I said, a lot of synergy in our work.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm like I said, I like talking about money. I think it's the conversation that people are afraid to start. So I love starting it. I love starting the conversation.
Well, I love listening, because I don't always go to the articles or the books or the seminars or whatever, but I do like to learn through people I trust and love and look up to and respect. So I can say that about you. And I just, I just want to tell everybody watching this video, go to Arlene's page. She's on Facebook. She's on Instagram. Her website, heartfulwealth.com, you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Heartfulwealth.com is her website. Check out her offerings, one-on-one coaching, her group program. And I remember you saying too, that I don't know if it's for that group program or a different one, but you're thinking of building an ongoing monthly community too.
Yeah,
as ongoing support.
I will be starting a membership.
Yeah, we both simultaneously realized that people need that after going through a big shift.
Yeah, people are asking for, continued. Can I can I stay in contact with you? Can I stay in some type of coaching relationship with you?
Yeah, and sometimes honestly, like I'm like, my numbers are doing okay, but I still just want to, like, Arlene's going to help me with this other thing too. Like she's, so it's like energetic.
And it becomes this juicy, fun thing. It's like, once it starts growing and you have your system in place, it's like, well, what else can I do?
Yeah.
I'm interested in this. I want to learn about this. It's like, and that's the great thing about wealth. It's like, there are multiple infinite ways of creating wealth. But when we're not looking, we pick one thing that we do, and that's the only thing we do. But once you start giving it love, you see all these possible, I could do this, I can do this, I can invest in that. There's so many different assets that we can invest in.
Yeah. And that I haven't even opened up that conversation yet, because I'm still working on crisis management and locking that down and just being stable. But that, I told you, that is my intention, that once I get that locked down, it is about wealth building. It is about looking.
You're going to buy an island.
Yeah. You're so funny. Okay. So that, so I had this boyfriend who thought, I said, I'm going to live on an island. So my goal, I'll just say this, as everyone is my witness, is to be living on an island. I'm looking at the Caribbean, but it's a little pricey there. So we'll see. I'm open by 2024. And I want my kids to be there too. I don't know how this is going to happen, but I just put it out there. I wanted to homeschool, and I didn't know how that was going to happen. And
Right.
it happened in 2020. You never know.
You really don't. And that's the whole thing. It's like, we know that we can create anything.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we can create anything. The truth is we can create. There's so much possible when we start to open up and put it out there.
And that being said, I need to clarify. I want to be living on a warm tropical.
She's like, I don't want to go to Antarctica.
No, not going to Alaska. I don't even want Hawaii. I like a warm tropical island, preferably where there's nice, also warm, loving culture that comes with it.
You caught yourself. You said, you know what? I am a powerful manifestor. I need to be more specific about that.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, and who knows how that's going to happen, but the way I see it, I have maybe 3 to 4 years to figure that out. I figure that's a lot of time. I'm going to be finished my PhD pretty soon. So that'll free up some time and energy.
Yeah.
And,
I love it.
And yeah, that's what you do. It's like law of attraction. What you put your attention on expands. And there's lots of different ways to build wealth. And I feel like that when we're talking about the feminine flow and the feminine way, I feel like that's what the feminine does. She hasn't always had a lot of power in society. So she finds the back door. She finds the way to like wiggle her way in, you know, she's the courtesan whispering into her clients, to determine public policy and, and politics. It's like that. And it's not manipulative. It's just savvy. It's like, ooh, how do I get over here? And so that's part of it, being smart, being wise, not just muscling through.
Right. And everyone has their desires, right? We're all unique. We're all unique, and we all have our desires for what we want to influence and what we want to create. So, the highest, expression for everyone is their own highest expression. Like what does that feminine want? So go express it, go influence, go find your island and your tropical warm island. Yeah. And enjoy it. It's like it's here for us to be awakened and go out and create and co-create with each other.
Yeah. And we both start with the vision. So here's the tip I'm going to give to everybody who's watching, and maybe this is a good place to end as well, is tonight, just go into your voice recorder in your iPhone and like send a letter from your future self, and say, oh, it's so nice to be living on this tropical island. Like I was eating like the sweetest pineapple today and went swimming twice in the warm ocean, and my tan skin, and I just feel so healthy and alive. Or, really go through all the senses as you're describing to your 2020 self what your future self is experiencing, whatever it is that are your desires. So obviously I just talked about island living. That's my desires, and then listen to that every day, or listen to it when you start to dip into fear or you start to dip into stress, and listen to that and get yourself back into that feeling. And if that's too hard for you to do, or you're having a hard time creating the imagery, you can also book a hypnosis session with me. Or if you just want to receive and you don't want to, do the work, you want to receive, book a hypnosis session with me, because that's what we can do. I interview, ask you about your goals, ask you about what you desire in the future, and then I take you there. And we go into the subconscious mind and we plant it there, because we're going through all the senses, and your body, then it is a reality. Your body is experiencing it. Then there's been studies out of Harvard that say that people that do hypnosis show epigenetic changes on 1,400 different genes. There's scientific evidence of literal biological shift with this imagery, which is the language of hypnosis. So this is powerful stuff. And then you follow it up with the spreadsheets, the actions, the whatever else. Like Arlene said, both left and right brain. But there is your challenge, your homework, your tasks, your tip for tonight to become a powerful manifestor yourself. This is not woo-woo, people. This is real science. This is science.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. Oh my goodness. I love it.
Thank you so much, Arlene. It's been a pleasure. I knew it would be, and really enjoyed going deep with you. And
Thank you
thank you
so
to everybody
much.
who joined. Sorry about the audio issues on Instagram. Instagram
And
gotta get their shit together.
and let me mention something about the Instagram being that way. Like one of the things that we say is that I don't even know what that it's all perfect, however it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like that when technology, when we have a problem, you don't get all bent out of shape about it, which you
Mm-hmm.
didn't.
Mm-hmm.
You just go with the flow with it. It's like it's it's not a crisis. You
Right.
just have a technology problem. And I appreciate people sharing to let us know.
Yeah, no, that was
And
so
that's why
awesome.
that's why you just do it anyway, even
Yep.
if you feel like you're not ready, because you're never going to be,
There's
even
always
if you're
gonna be
totally ready,
bumps.
you're going to have
Yeah.
a problem anyway.
Yep.
So why not
I-
just put it out there so that you can create and share your gift and start to, do that co-creation with people.
Yeah. Begenshai Dogdiev. I know I pronounced it wrong, but I remember you, Arlene. This was my Uber driver coming back from Mastery in New York.
Really?
Yeah, one of the times, and we had a lovely conversation.
My phone just died, but anyway, so
Oh,
how
there we go.
terrific that
Um,
that he's connected with you, and you guys have
Yeah,
that's a
yeah.
great example of connection
Mm,
and virtual, communication.
mm-hmm.
So it's so powerful. I'm so grateful for this aspect of the pandemic. This, democratizing technology, like helping us to more of us to get on technology so that we
Right.
can have these powerful connections.
Yeah.
So juicy. I just love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
I do remember you, yes. And you can check out this video on YouTube because we had audio issues. Arlene was saying that people don't like to talk about money and Instagram muted her. So I'm coming on here to talk about money.
See?
No, I don't know if it happened accidentally or I'm sure it happened accidentally, but it just happened. And so we were laughing about that. So that's why you couldn't hear her. And then she finally dropped off. Her phone died anyway. But this is all on YouTube. All of my Instagram lives are also streaming live on YouTube. So you can go check it out there. And it, Natasha Edwina, and it will start to convert in the next couple of hours. And then it, late tonight, it won't be available, but it'll be posted in my link in bio tomorrow. So every Monday I go live at 7 p.m. and then immediately post the link in bio for people to rewatch because not everybody can watch. And sometimes we're talking more in depth about sexual things as well. And some folks have small children and they don't want to, have that playing while they're making dinner and stuff. I totally get that. But our conversations are 13 plus and PG-13 approved.
Yep.
So
Yes.
Well, anyway, thank you so much, Arlene. Such a pleasure, as I said, and
yes.
I look forward to connecting with you. I guess we got to have a session this week. We had to reschedule it from last Friday. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm totally juiced up. Just totally juiced up. And that's what it's like every time I meet with you. And I'm very, very excited for all the clients that are going to find their way to you and the work that you are going to do to shift the planet because you absolutely are.
Thank you. That's the vision and the mission to help as many people as possible to create their own financial ease so that it's no longer a stress in their lives. And when they wake up, they're excited because money's not a worry.
Yes. Wake up excited because money's not a worry. Let's all just put that into our consciousness and send that out to the whole planet. There's so many people that need that right now.
Yes.
All right. Good night, Instagram.
Okay.
I'm going to shut that off right now. Bye, everyone. And also on YouTube. Thanks, everybody, for joining and stay in touch. Every Monday at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard, Goddess Vibrations, a spiritual sexual empowerment show. Tonight, we talked about second chakra, money, power, sex, wealth, building wealth the feminine way. Let us know what you thought. You can message either of us, leave us a comment. We would love it. Good night, Arlene.
Good night.